Is asking Conservative MPs who've put in thousands of pounds of expenses claims for swimming pool repairs, garden maintenance, even hanging a chandelier, to come and explain why they did what they did. The Conservative leader says what's happened is out of order and some of it is an abuse of taxpayers' money. The Shadow Cabinet is meeting now to discuss the expenses scandal, and some of those involved are said to be considering repaying some of the money. Here's our political correspondent, Gary O'Donoghue.
Another day and another roll of the dice in the game of parliamentary expenses. It's now the turn of the Tory Grandees to have their claims poured over. Swimming pools, a chandelier and wages for a housekeeper, just some of the things submitted. Douglas Hogg, the former minister, admits he claimed £14,500 towards the cost of domestic help. But today he came out fighting, definitely not on the run.
I agreed with the Fees Office that a proportion of the maintenance and cleaning of my house, hence the housekeeper, should be on the parliamentary allowance. That was claimed in detail and in writing and in advance with the Fees Office.
And another senior Tory, Michael Ancram, says he will pay back almost £100 for the repair of his swimming pool boiler.
I made a mistake about a swimming pool bill for £95 and I will repay that, and that was a genuine mistake. Otherwise, they were all for maintenance of that particular second-home property, and I made it clear in the Telegraph what my position is. Thank you very much.
Next stop in the expenses game, and anything goes. The Daily Telegraph says Sir Michael Spicer claimed more than £600 for the installation of a chandelier, more than £1,000 for servicing an oven, and more than £5,500 for gardening costs.
Dreadful. I think it's disgusting, spending our money and we're having to pay, and we're on a pension.
Fair enough if they need it to make a living and do it, but a lot of it just seems very excessive.
The Tories knew their turn would come, and today's revelations are undoubtedly embarrassing, particularly at a time when the whole country is having to tighten its belt. So David Cameron isn't ruling out the possibility of resignations. Conservative sources say Mr Cameron will be calling in those MPs concerned.
Well, I am angry about what has happened. It is out of order. Some of this is an abuse of taxpayers' money, and I'm going to deal with it.
Today is a massive day for him. I think if he takes decisive and strong action against the people that have been milking the allowance system, he will have certainly blogs like Conservative Home on his side, and I think the mass, much more importantly, of the general public.
So while all MPs know the game is up on the current system, it's not clear their shopping habits have broken any rules. What is clear, though, is that the reputation of politics is in pieces. Gary O'Donoghue, BBC News, Westminster.
Our political correspondent Carol Walker is in Westminster. If rules haven't actually been broken, what can David Cameron actually do?
Well, yes, it's clearly very difficult to punish people retrospectively. But Sophie, I can tell you that David Cameron has seen a whole series of Shadow Cabinet members individually this morning and at a collective meeting. And a number of them have agreed to pay back some of the claims that they've made, some of the expenses that they've received. Anything that's deemed to look extravagant, the sorts of things that taxpayers wouldn't expect to pay for, I'm told that a number of them have agreed to pay back that money, although we don't have the full details yet. We know that, for example, Michael Gove, the Shadow Schools Minister, is going to be repaying a £500 hotel bill. Now, I'm told that there was no resistance to this, that they understood the anger that this has provoked amongst the public, so no disciplinary action yet. And I understand that David Cameron is also going to address an emergency meeting of his entire parliamentary party and to say to them that whatever the changes that may or may not be introduced by the Commons authorities, he's going to be expecting his MPs to be much more open about all of this by making declarations on the internet of all the expenses that they make in future.
David Cameron clearly very angry about all of this, but how damaging is this going to be for the Conservative Party?
Well, it's deeply damaging. I think that's why he has taken such swift action. I think that is why he wants to be seen to be tackling this. It's very hard for him to be talking about an age of austerity and thrift when we're then reading in the newspapers about how some of his MPs are claiming for swimming pool cleaning, for alleged cleaning up of moats, although that of course was then denied, and chandeliers and so on. So very damaging indeed, especially given all his attempts to change the culture and the image of the Conservative Party. And it's difficult to see how anything he does is going to inhibit that damage in the short term.
Carol Walker, thank you very much. Burglary, theft and fraud could rise by as much as 25% over the next 3 years. That's the prediction from rank and file police.